everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka... And it's time for another X-Thread. Today we're talking about archetypal cards that are not often found in their native archetype. In celebration of the YCS victory by Pack TCG, I wanted to highlight a card that he played way outside where it was designed. DDD Vice King Requiem is a DDD monster that has crept into Unchained builds. If you want to see why, I have a short that should explain it, but if you don't want to go to the shorts menu because you still have an attention span. If you open Dark Contract with a Gate, you can search Vice King Requiem, summon it, overlay for a copy of Machinex, use the effect given to Machinex to pop a card on your side of the field, which can either start your own plays in Unchained or play through opponent's cards while threatening Zeus. It's a very interesting tech that doesn't use the normal summon and found its way into both Pack and Jesse's lists. So I asked for similar cards found in decks that aren't necessarily where they were expected to be. Let's see what you've got. I'm surprised I'm not seeing this little guy here. Darth Nash is absolutely correct. Jurak Aolo saw a ton of play from about 2016 until, he's still around. Jurak Aolo was a staple in any dinosaur list since the structure deck up until Animadorned Archosaur came out. Even then people were considering him a one-star tuner is pretty hard to come by. Of course, this mattered a lot more when you could use Miscellaneousaurus to get into Danglong, but he still found a lot of play even after that, as a way to take 2 4s plus himself to make like Trishula. Inner Crescent says, I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Right before LGTY's release. I was excited to build Mecha Phantom Beast as one of my first archetypes ever. Then I learned about Dracosac's $200 price tag. Turns out there was another set of monsters in the same set that makes rank 7s more easily. This had to be intended to work with the Dragon Rulers. It's a dragon. Like, it's functionally a ruler already. Dinowhostler Pankratops, the perfect example. This card is the only playable card in its entire archetype. It's so unbelievably powerful. I think we all expected when it came out that it was going to be a secret, but Konami printed it at common, so everyone got to play it. We played 3 copies until it went to 1, and even now you sometimes see it show up. Obvious answer in the current format, Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. This is being summoned off of branded Expulsion on legs. However, as someone who actually plays Gimmick Puppets and specifically picked up the deck so I could use this as Xyz material, this card sucks in our deck. Yeah, never forget the best Aqua to fuse with in Tearlaments. This is another perfect example. This card saw a lot of play in Tearlament because Primeval Planet Pellerino was so important to the deck's ability to play through pretty much anything that many individuals were playing the Crystal Beast Rainbow Trap card, which you can banish, send a Crystal Beast from your deck to the graveyard, then terraforming. And the Crystal Beast you would send is Emerald Tortoise, which can be half of Kid Kalos because it's an Aqua. We used to tribute summon this idiot for an entire format in the first wave of Burning Abyss. In 2014, we were tribute summoning OG Goddamn Ryza. Meow has the perfect answer. Flamvel Guard and Dragoonity Corseska. These cards are dog shit in their individual archetypes, truly not even playable. However, you can search this one off of Blaster and this one off of Tempest, and then you can synchro into a copy of Crimson Blader. Perfect example. These lads come to mind. Turns out a 1-card Isold that hand loops and provides perfect information is cracked for warrior decks. But I think the kicker is how ass the package is in Hero. Sure hope you weren't planning on using Cross Crusader this turn. Yeah, it's weird that these cards are better in decks that don't play Neos than in decks that do. And of course, Aqua Dolphin being playable in any capacity is just so funny. Whatever constitutes a Gen X deck, they definitely weren't the reason this guy was on the FL for so long. This guy was responsible for not only a bunch of FTKs, he was splashing a whole shitload of decks, none of which played any other Gen X monsters. With maybe the exception of Blast Fan, but that's for a different reason. Dragon Maid and Dragon Link players around the world celebrate that this doesn't say 2 hieratic monsters or 2 normal dragon monsters. Right? Like, they're the revolving spheres. They should be the sphere twice. But no, just 2 dragon monsters. This one has shown up in a couple of Twitter threads now. Meant for the Herald archetype, this ball of cocaine decided it wanted to be in every deck that so much it glances as a ritual monster or spell, or, wants to make a negate off of 4 stars worth of synchro material. The funniest part of it, of course, is that it turns off the Heralds. They have to go banished. I will give this card a pass. It is good in Predaplant, but oh man, these 2 were everywhere in everything for the entire lifespan of Brilliant Fusion. This is my favorite Gravekeeper. An answer that only individuals who were sentient before 2004 can remember, but yes, Gravekeeper played a 1 of Malefic Stardust Dragon. You want to know why? He's like pretty big. It prevents them from MSTing Necro Valley. Drytron makes every bad ritual into a win condition. Amor Factor Pain for turn skip, Magician of Black Chaos for Azathoth, Magic Key for unlocking so you don't lose to Dark Ruler. Wait till you see them search the world off Ben 10. I'd rather not. This is a fun one. Dual Links hand traps. Veil being good in Fire King and invoked back in the day, and it's still at limit 3 for some reason. This thing's at limit 3. And White Princess being so good since it came out, it still sees play in Trickstar. These were so funny. The whole point of Battle and Boxer Veil was just like, I blank the battle phase, get fucked. And White Princess, it literally just changes attack values. It's so funny. The one who started it all. Easily accessible boss monster everybody but the archetype uses. For years, so many people had no clue that AOJ was even an archetype, and it's insanely hard for them to make the 5-star. I've played the solo mode. I know how bad it is in AOJ. But everywhere else, ooh. The most played Melfi cards by a landslide in Master Duel are Caddy and Penny because, of course, Sprite. Also, shame on everyone who calls their deck Melfi Sprite but only plays these two. Put a damn Wally in your deck if you want the title. Agreed. This is like a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Like, Sprite existed forever, and then someone was like, hey, what if these two random material at the end became like one of the most mid-Xyz of all time, and then we played 2 Garnets, and that got us a Herald. And everyone else was like, I think that's actually good enough. I think that's good enough. This card is so generically good and obviously so bad in Ice Barrier, but that's thematic because the whole point of Ice Barrier is to prevent these people from appearing. Other decks summoning it against them is kind of on theme. While Super Quant, of course, is a decent deck. Both of these saw much more success in Monarchs. Blue is summonable off E-Telly, it searches a guided tribute summon, and it shuffles itself back to keep E-Telly live. Red Layer is still kind of playable just because it's a free special for something like Infernoble, but EDM was a hell of a deck. They played this in Domain, too. One of my favorite facts, for a small period of time, Vendread Battlelord used to see play in Drytron alongside Revendread Evolution. Evolution can summon Battlelord from graveyard, so Drytrons had no issue using him as cost, and Battlelord's effect would seal off hand traps on your turn. This was very popular for a short period of time. I think Tatsum has a profile in which he took down a big tournament playing fucking 3 copies of this guy. Every time people discover this card, it's for the worst reasons. Like Trickstar FTK is playable, or like Mystic Mine is a top deck. These silly guys did it not once but twice. Dark Beckoning was a 1-card Curious with Lingaribo and Anima. Later, they did the same thing, being 3 level 2 bodies off of 1 card. Bonus points for playing Capshell, which was already good in Sprite as one of the few 0/0 fiends. This is a good one. So Arboria's good in Crusadia, but importantly is a sub 1500 attack point monster that can be special summoned without activating an effect. Any deck that was playing Sangan could conceivably normal Sangan, link it off for an Almirage, activate Sangan, grab Arboria, special it, then theoretically summon something like a Halka Fibrax. This saw way more play than I wish it had. People might not like to hear it, but Obelisk undeniably reached its peak as an occasional sideboard tech in the Dragon Ruler mirror. I know what you're thinking. What the hell are you talking about? Unfortunately, they are 100% correct. Many people remember Obelisk from its implications in, like, frog decks right after release, but during the Dragon Ruler era, going for the Dracosac line and then tributing all the tokens for Obelisk was kind of an unbeatable turn 1. Like, there's not really anything in the game that cleared this. In 2020, Dragon Link used this little boy to search Smoke Grenade for some fun hand loops. Bylon Cube! Though I am a rotation apologist, I can't help but read a thread like this and feel a twinge of guilt in my tiny little heart. If the card pool were smaller, text like this might not ever be considered. Although, with things like Smoke Grenade of the Thief, some would argue that's a good thing. See you next week. Who found this guy? Whoever was the person who found this guy, I just want to talk. I just want to talk. I just want to talk. Just want to talk. Just want to talk. I just want to talk. I just want to talk. I just want to talk.